I think because of the recent success of James Harden in Houston, people forget that the best players in Rockets history are mostly big men. Obviously, you have the best player in franchise history in Hakeem Olajuwon, who's one of the 10 best players of all time. You have Ralph Sampson, who would have been an all-time great if it wasn't for injuries. Moses Malone, who had a nice little run in Houston. And Yao Ming, who is the best Asian-born basketball player of all time. And I think the Houston Rockets have a chance to land the next great big man in the league with the second overall pick in the 2021 NBA draft. This is why I believe the Houston Rockets should draft Evan Mobley. But before we get into today's video, I've noticed that about a good 60.5% of you guys that watch my videos happen to not be subscribed. So happen to fall into that 60.5%, or you just happen to new and like what you see, feel free to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell to be notified whenever I release a video. I make videos to take elements from film essays and apply them to basketball. I also make videos covering the NBA draft and high school basketball as well, so if any of those things are of an interest to you, this is the channel for you. Let's try to get 100 likes on this video so YouTube will recommend it to others. But with that being said, let's get right into the video. Evan Mobley is viewed by most to be the second best player in the 2021 NBA draft, and that's actually including myself. The big man out of USC is one of the best big man prospects I've ever seen, and probably one of the best since Karl-Anthony Towns and Anthony Davis. He stands at 7 feet tall, he weighs 215 pounds, and he has a 7'4" wingspan. He's known for his versatility on both ends of the floor and his rare movement skills at his size and position. He's a 7-foot center that legitimately has better movement skills than most of the wings and even some of the guards in this draft. On offense, he can do traditional big man stuff like roll to the rim, catch lobs, and even post up a bit. However, what really has me excited is what he's able to do outside of those things. He has a really good handle for a big man and has shown some capability as an off-bounce creator. He has good vision, he has good feel as a passer, and he knows how to sense his gravity. He has a very high basketball IQ on offense, he has a good touch around the basket, he draws fouls at a good rate, and while the numbers weren't great from 3 this year, he does have promise as a shooter as well. It'll just take more reps, I believe. Basically, he has the tools to be a go-to scorer as a big man, which is just rare. However, he's a special prospect on the other side of the floor as well. On defense, he can play multiple defensive coverages. You want him to drop, he can do that. You want him to hedge, he can do that. You want him to switch, he can do that. He has a very high basketball IQ on defense as well, and knows how to time his shot blocks pretty well. And he's very disciplined, as he only averaged 1.9 fouls per 36 minutes at USC this year. Basically, he has all the tools to be an elite defensive player. So basically, Evan Mobley is a 7-footer who has a high basketball IQ on both ends of the floor, who has very go-to scoring skills for a big man, and has a chance to be one of the best defensive players in the league. He's someone that can have a whole half of his game taken away from him, and he would still be viewed as an elite prospect. Take away his offense, he would still be an elite defensive prospect. Take away his defense, he would still be an elite offensive prospect. He will need to add weight to his frame, can work a bit on the pass accuracy, and could assert himself more on offense, but like with Cade Cunningham, like I mentioned in the last video, those are really nitpicks, because I think the weight can be added once he gets to the league, because they have very good weight programs and how to gain muscle, things like that. And, you know, I think assertiveness, once he's in a better offensive role that's more suited for him, that will improve as well. I'm going to be honest, compared to the Pistons, there aren't as many players in the Rockets that I like for the immediate and moving forward. There's really only 4. You have Christian Wood, who when healthy looks like one of the up-and-coming power forwards / slender hybrids in the league. He was in the running for most improved player. He was a breakout candidate for a little while now, and we finally got to see it in Houston, and he's on a really good contract. Kevin Porter Jr. is one of the most talented young guards in the league, one of the most talented young players in the league. His combination of physical tools, the handle, the shot creating, the athleticism, stuff like that, that's very rare and he has all the talent in the world. He needs to put it all together now. Jason Tate was one of the 5 best rookies in the league this year. He's a bit older, he was 25, but he was all-rookie first team, and he played really well for the Rockets. And you have Kenyon Martin Jr., who I was way wrong about. I didn't think he was even going to get drafted. Not only did he get drafted, he had a much bigger impact as a rookie than I ever thought that he would. So props to him. He's an athletic, undersized forward, I would say, that can dunk on anyone if he really wants to. And he has shown a lot more shooting promise than I thought he would, and overall promise than I thought he would. So props to him, but that's really all I had to say about guys I like on the Houston Rockets. Here's why the Rockets should draft Evan Mobley. He's gonna likely be the best player available when the Rockets pick 2nd overall, with Cade all but certain to be off the board at this point. I do think there is a gap between Mobley and Suggs to the point where I don't even think they're in the same tier. Green is a lot closer to Mobley. I would say this: if Mobley's tier 1.5, Green's like tier 1.75, but I still think there's enough of a gap between the two. I wouldn't be against them drafting Green, but I still think I would probably take Mobley. I've heard people say that they should take one of those 2 guards that I mentioned over Mobley because of positional value, and I can somewhat see that argument for someone like Jalen Green, not so much for Jalen Suggs. But even with Green, his style of play does seem to clash with what KPJ does, and you might be able to say the same thing about Christian Wood and Evan Mobley, but Christian Wood can play the 4 and the 5, and so can Mobley because he's skilled enough to play both those spots. In fact, I think Mobley will have to play the 4 as a rookie anyways until he adds weight to his frame, and he's more than skilled enough to play the 4. Also, you don't get a chance to draft a guy like Mobley often. We see guys like Jalen Green and Jalen Suggs, who are great talents, mind you. I'm not saying they aren't. They're very much worthy of like top 5 picks. But we see them. We see them in other drafts. You don't find a guy like Evan Mobley with the little amount of flaws that he has in this game, the kind of versatility on both ends of the floor, the feel for the game and basketball IQ, and his skills at that size. It's just not something you see often, if at all. And the names that you can bring up that compare to that kind of combination, I don't think it's fair to bring those names up because it would be an unfair expectation for him to try and reach. I know the league has had a recent history of bigs going ahead of guards and it being a mistake. Whether that be the Warriors taking James Wiseman ahead of LaMelo Ball, whether that be Marvin Bagley going to Sacramento 2nd overall when guys like Luka Doncic and Trae Young were on the board, among many other examples. However, I feel confident in Evan Mobley over the other 2 guards in this draft because, first of all, he's a better prospect than Wiseman and Bagley were, and there's a gap between him and the guards tier-wise in this draft. Plus, he's not a traditional big man. He moves like a guard, he has skills like a wing, and movement skills that just don't seem possible at that size. If I'm the Houston Rockets, I would take Evan Mobley in a heartbeat, and the moment Cade is off the board 1st overall to the Pistons, you run that pick up, you don't answer the phone, you don't let anyone off your trade. You take Evan Mobley and you build your team around what I believe is the apex of the new age big prospects entering the league. And again, I wouldn't be against the Houston Rockets selecting Jalen Green with the 2nd overall pick. He's a very talented prospect, one of the more talented guard prospects I've seen in recent memory. However, I think it speaks to Mobley being as good as he is, where you have this guard prospect that's as good as Jalen Green, who has the skills that Jalen Green has and the upside that Jalen Green has, and you're willing to pass on him for a big man like Evan Mobley, knowing that Mobley is like almost a whole half tier ahead of him. And that goes to show you, because you rarely see a situation where you have a guard that's as talented as Jalen Green and you have a big that's justifiably ahead of him on your board. And Evan Mobley is that, and that goes to show how special Evan Mobley is as a prospect. But that is the end of this video. If you've made it to this point, thank you so much. Again, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, do all those things, be a big help to me. Let me know what you think about Evan Mobley in the comment section below. I would love to hear where you think he should go in the draft. Should he go second overall? Should he fall? Who should go ahead of him if you think that he shouldn't go second overall? Do you think he maybe can go first overall? We'd love to hear that stuff down below. If you have time, go watch another video. I have over 390 videos, closing in on 400 videos on this channel. So if you like basketball, I'm willing to bet you'll find something else that you like on this channel. So I would appreciate it if you had time and you would go check out another video. But with that being said, have a nice day.